Welcome back to the Blood Bear channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about Jesus and why he is the only logical conclusion. He says he's the way, the life, he says that he's the truth, the way, and the life, or whatever order that goes in. I don't have it memorized or anything, but so that's what we're going to be talking about today. We'll probably go over some of the main moral teachings that he has done, some of the evidence to his existence to prove that Jesus was a real person, and also the role that other religions have taken up for Jesus as well. So, that'll be this video. Which this should hopefully show that, in terms of religion, Jesus is not only the only he's not only trustworthy, but is the only logical conclusion that you can make if you research other religions and the Bible. So why don't we go ahead and jump straight into the moral teachings within Christianity, as that's usually, they follow the Bible. So the Bible is Jesus's teachings. So on the broad aspect of this, broadly speaking, Jesus taught mainly selflessness, loving other people, and repentance, and then forgiveness. And he also taught sacrifice, which kind of falls into selflessness a bit there. Jesus also, through his own life, as we see in the Bible, through the Gospels, that he leads by example. He preaches all these things, but then he also leads by example, because Jesus lived a perfect, sinless life, and then he, instead of fighting his enemies and stuff like that, he decided to give his life on the cross, and then come back 3 days later. But that's besides the point. He sacrificed himself for others. That's the main point there. And you can also see how he follows those same moral tenets with how he treats other people. He healed others. He never really got angry with other people. He never, or anything like that. There are some times whenever he got where Jesus actually did get angry, but he never held hatred to any of those people. He didn't like that people were basically sinning or defiling his father's house, right, at the temple. So he started flipping tables, and stuff like that, and kind of destroying stalls that they had set up there. But never once did he actually physically harm someone. And you see his kindness to others, especially whenever they were going to stone that she was an adulterous woman, and the people were in that town were going to stone her to death. And then Jesus was there, and he said, "Well, let any of you who have never committed a sin throw the first stone." And obviously everybody there besides Jesus committed a sin, and instead of Jesus punishing her, he forgave her and told her to go on and sin no more, which it's a big part of that forgiveness right there. And Jesus also teaches that you should be able to forgive people infinitely, and that's what he did. He also says, love one's enemies, right? pray for those who persecute you, is what he also preached, and he also did, because his enemies, quote unquote, would be like the Romans, and he, with I don't remember what his name, but the centurion basically threw himself down onto Jesus' feet and asked him to heal his servant boy, and Jesus did, right? And he also did the same for the I don't remember what the Gentiles, right? So it's not like he would heal, his quote unquote people, being the Jews, or his chosen people, I guess is kind of what they thought at that time. But no, Jesus was for everybody, all of humanity. So he acted. He never went against anything in his that he preached, and he led by example. So yeah, so that's basically his moral teachings, and like you can see in some of the other religions, that's not exactly the case. Their founders kind of also then go against some of their things, like I believe, whenever speaking about like Muhammad, he married a young girl, an underage girl, which I think he also said was against, which he also preached against doing. So there's that. All right. Now we'll jump into some more of the like evidence that he existed, that Jesus was a real person. And there's many writings. Jesus is like the most well documented figure throughout all of history. So it's like I don't know, like George Washington has like maybe, I guess George Washington's a bad example, but like Alexander the Great, right? He has like, I don't know how much exactly he has, but it's like far less than Jesus, and we say that he's a real person, so it makes no sense. And then I think one of the more famous ones is Tacitus. I don't know how to pronounce this name. Tacitus, and he wrote about. He's some sort of Roman guy, and he documented the crucifixion of Jesus. So there's that, and then we also have other pieces of evidence like the shroud. If you've heard about that, and basically they used X-ray to date and show, like on this like shroud that's thought to be like the burial shroud that went over Jesus' body, and you can actually see, if you look it up, you can see some of the you can see actually like his face and body and stuff. It's really cool, so I do suggest looking into that. But anyways, nowadays it is actually kind of common knowledge that Jesus was a real person, and it's not hard to find that out, pretty much. Like most historical things believe that Jesus was a real person. And also, one thing I also want to mention is that in archaeology, a lot of the times, you'll read about a city in the Bible, and then they use the context clues about where, like, what the terrain and stuff looked like, and the ecosystem and those things, because that's also described in some of the cities and stuff in the Bible, and they'll use that to archaeologists will kind of use that, or at least some of them will, to then also find cities that were once lost, from the Bible. So it's basically the Bible is a trustworthy historical document, is what I'm getting at with that. All right, now final section of this video is Jesus' role in other religions. So basically, ever since Jesus got kind of proven to be a real person, other religions have kind of stamped some claim onto him, like for like example, like Buddhism claims that Jesus was like another enlightened person, like the Buddha, and in Islam, they say that he's not that they say that he's not the Son of God, but was another prophet. But then it's like, okay, well, they all are claiming these things, but then we got to go to, what Jesus claimed, right? And multiple times throughout the Bible, because like every religion is claiming some aspect of Jesus, because we know Jesus was a real person. Then it stands to believe, like, okay, well, what did Jesus himself say, right? So, and Jesus himself said that he was the Son of God. He says it multiple times throughout the Bible. One of the most, I think, more known ones is whenever he says, "Before Abraham, I am," right? And then, the people that heard that started picking up stones. The Pharisees and stuff they picked up stones to stone Jesus for blasphemy. So yeah, they obviously knew that he was claiming to be either the Son of God, which is what he was claiming to be, right? So, and since since there's kind of no other religion that kind of follows strictly the Bible, kind of makes, I say strictly the Bible because I guess Mormons do follow the Bible, but they also follow some other stuff. I don't really know much about Mormons. I'm not going to talk about them, but that makes kind of Christianity the main, logical. Basically, following the Bible is the only logical conclusion for if you want religion and truth of the world or whatever, right? Following Jesus is the only way, basically, is what I'm getting at. It's the only logical conclusion. If Jesus was real, follows all his teachings are good, and he claims to be the Son of God, right? So the three things that he claims that he's the Son of God. He claims that no one is good but God. So he and the Father are one. He claims that as well. So that means that he is good, right? So he's good, and where was I going with this? Basically, we know that he existed, right? So that means that's the only one that makes sense, right? In my mind, anyways, it's the only logical conclusion. But yeah, that's gonna be all for this video. Just a reminder, if you are a follower of Jesus, Jesus calls his followers to go out and spread the good news. So if you aren't doing that, do that in some manner. And yeah, if you like the video, please do leave a like and subscribe. It'll help me a lot. And yeah, other than that, I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.